All right, that's my first time doing this. And here we go.
Jerome,
Brad, I'm sorry.
how you
Yes.
doing?
How you doing? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Call me Brad.
All right, guys. So, as I've been saying all week, I have a very special guest today. You guys know who he is, but if you guys don't know who he is, let me give you his resume. He is the owner of 29,054 yards, 166 touchdowns, pass rating 82.5, two-time Pro Bowler, first person in NFL history to throw a touchdown pass to himself, but most importantly, Super Bowl champion, Mr. Brad Johnson. Thank you for coming.
All right. You
I
done
did
your
the intro
homework,
right.
Jerome? Yeah, you got me right, man. You figured it out. So, no, I appreciate you reaching out, man. Thank you. So, are you down? Are you down in Tampa?
No, actually, I'm about 3 hours away, but I've been to Tampa a lot, family and everything, and been a lifelong Buccaneers fan since you came to the team. So it's the biggest honor to have you here for a couple minutes.
Yep, that sounds great, man. Let's have fun with it.
Okay, so first I'm gonna give a shout out to Gage. You've met Gage already. He wants to help me put this in motion, get gears grinding. So follow his YouTube channel at YouBucthat. Follow him on Twitter at YouBucthat. Link will be in the description below. And Brad, I just want to talk to you about a retrospect of your entire NFL career. Just things that people didn't know about you. We know about you on the field, but things about you off the field, your mind frame going into being an NFL player, and just how's everything been after you left Tampa Bay and post retirement?
Yeah, a lot there. Right now, I actually got a birthday coming up, Jerome, next month. So I turned 54.
54.
Turned 54, acting like I'm still 24. But
You look
my
like
wife, but my wife, Nikki, and I, we've been married for 23 years. We got two boys.
Mhm.
Actually playing football at Texas A&M, and one's a quarterback, one's a tight end. So they're roommates, and we call them like Tom and Jerry. They like cartoon characters. They fight each other and beat each other up all day, and then they're best friends when the day's over. But live in Athens, Georgia. Been retired now, man, almost like 14 years. I think something like that. And got involved when my career was over. I really just got like, what am I doing next? I mean, I was working out all the time. Like, what am I working out for? It's strange because I didn't really have. I wasn't going to work somewhere. I wasn't going to play for a team, But I actually got involved in coaching a lot of kids. From youth level to middle school to high school, football, basketball. Just I got a bunch of little quarterbacks on the side that I'm involved with, and just kind of it may be a middle school kid trying to help them become throw a spiral. It may be a high school kid trying to get a scholarship, or it may be a college or a pro guy that just kind of working on their stuff. So stay involved in that. Got a couple of charities I'm involved with, the Evelyn Foundation and Beyond Our Borders up in Asheville, North Carolina. I do a couple golf tournaments for them and things like that. But just stay active and enjoying life.
Well, you look healthy, which is always good. I know you took a lot of punishment over the years and everything. So
Yeah.
I want to just back up real quick to when you first and you grew up in Marietta, Georgia.
Black Mountain, North Carolina. Black Mountain. I was born in Marietta.
I was born in Marietta,
Georgia, but I grew up in Black Mountain, North Carolina.
Okay. And you went to Charles D. Owens High School, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So before you went to Florida State, when did you decide that you want to be a quarterback or play football? And when did you take it serious?
Yeah, my dad ran summer camps up in Ridgecrest, North Carolina. Okay, Christian camps, you name the sport: archery, horseback, basketball, soccer, hiking, whatever, lakes, all those kind of things. So I grew up playing sports. Like I had 6 different keys to 6 different gyms. Like my mom she was assistant principal and those kind of things. I had keys to you name the gym, I was involved. So,
Wow.
But I never missed a day of playing basketball from my second grade till my freshman year of college. And just so you know, like, I don't know if you're in my ping pong room here. You see all my pictures of these are Larry Bird. I don't know if you see that right there.
Oh my God.
So I grew up a basketball nut. Okay. I loved it. Played every day. And loved Larry Bird, loved Chris Mullen. That was who I wanted to be like. And so but I had a lot of potential in football. I could throw a frisbee, could throw a rock, throw a baseball, throw a football, but never worked at cover three, cover two, my steps, my just how to go through it. I didn't really have the guru coaching that kids have nowadays. I mean, I was
Yes.
in love with basketball, so I couldn't make that decision going into it. So, trying to make a long story short, but I wanted to play for the guy in my high school is named Brad Doherty, who plays. He was an All-Star at All-American. Went to North Carolina, played in the NBA for Cleveland Cavaliers. 7-footer. He was the guy in front of me in my class. I wanted to be like Brad Doherty. They
I remember Brad Doherty.
retired his jersey at our high school. The high school coach that was there before was a guy named Roy Williams, who just retired from North Carolina Hall of Fame coach. So I grew up in a basketball, and but the guy I wanted to play for was a guy named Bobby Crimmins at Georgia Tech. And I went to all his camps as a kid. And he said, "Brad, you got a scholarship here if you want to come here." And but he said, "Brad, I only play 5 guys." And the guy that I'm bringing in is an All-American. His name is Dennis Scott. Dennis Scott ended up being an 11-year NBA player for the Orlando Magic, great 3-point shooter. And but Bobby Crimmins said, "Brad, what sport do you think you're best at?" I said, "I'm best at basketball now, but I'll be best with more potential in football later because of my size." And they said I'd be more like a guy like Vinny Testaverde at that time.
Okay.
And so I made that decision. I said, I'm going to go for most potential. So I was appreciative of Coach Crimmins saying, helping me out as a person and in my future. So then I chose to go to Florida State on a football scholarship. I actually played 2 years of basketball at Florida State also. But I grew up wanting to play basketball at the next level, but knew football was my best potential. Long story.
So now let's back. So North Carolina. So where was the? And so North Carolina. How far is that from? Because I was stationed in Fort Bragg
Right.
for 4 years. I was 82nd Airborne paratrooper, and I did not know how nice North Carolina is.
Right.
And it's just a beautiful place. I miss North Carolina. I did not know. I thought it was just some boring state, but it was beautiful. Like I always stayed in my car going somewhere different in North Carolina. So North
Right.
Carolina is amazing. Like I had so much fun in those days, being in the military and everything. So fast forward, you go to Florida State, and then you go to the draft. Now you got drafted by the Minnesota Vikings. I want to skip your rookie season for a second because it's going to play into the next topic I want to discuss with you about your Super Bowl run. So you're with the Washington, we'll call them the Washington Commanders. So you get to the Washington. What was your first experience? Because now that's when you start getting actual playing repetition and everything. What was your feeling? Was you nervous? Was you excited? Was you motivated? Was you hungry? What was this going into that
Yeah.
first opportunity?
Well, I'd been with Minnesota, the Vikings, for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And about year 5 or so, I started taking over. I had a couple of injuries. I dealt with a neck injury, broken thumb, broken hand, broken foot, some stuff. So I played really well in Minnesota, but I was looking for just a change. So I got traded to the Washington, at that time, the Redskins, now
Mm-hmm.
Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that time, it was you go through change, a new facility, a new playbook, new players, names of plays, names of players, finding an apartment, finding a house, selling a house. Like it was a lot of just got married at that time, like transition. But I wanted to prove my worth that I was I could play. I could play for any team. I could play in any division. I could play in any system. And so I felt like I should have made Pro Bowl in Minnesota, but the votes just didn't go my way. But Washington, that first year there, made the Pro Bowl, threw over 4,000 yards, which that time was a
Fifth
big deal.
all
We won
time
it.
is Washington Redskins history. Fifth all
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. Most yards in a game, those kind of things. But
Mm-hmm.
but it was the game was different at that time. But it was more about proving myself that I could play anywhere at that time. We won the NFC East, so it was just a fun time in my career in the transition kind of thing. I was fortunate for my 7 years at Minnesota, but then I was thankful for change and played for Brian Billick at that time for 7 years in Minnesota. But then to be with North Turner was a blessing in disguise too.
So you guys go 10-6 with your first Pro Bowl season. Your 4,005 yards ranked fifth all time in Washington Redskins history, which was impressive because back then the NFL was not a throwing league at the time. So 4,000 yards was that what makes the feat even more impressive. But I want to go back to one game that you had, and I think it was against the Panthers where you had the comeback win. and you won 38-36. You guys were down 21-0, and then you rallied the troops. Walk us through that game.
Yeah, we got down 21-0 in the first quarter. I'm like, it was just weird how it happened. Like, holy cow! You score, they score, we punt, they score. Like, you're done. I'm looking, if we keep this up, we're going to lose 84-0. I mean, but those things, they're long games, and you gotta stay. Like, for me, I've always said, when I play the game, make the read, make the throw, make the play, move to the next one. Make the read, make the throw, make the play, move to the next one. Like, whether it's a good play or bad play, you got to move on to the next one. And it was just a great game early in the year for us. It come from behind 21 points to win 38, 35, 36, something like that. It was a great game for our team, and just the beginning of that was a new team for us, and just gave us belief that we could win in any situation.
So after the season, you played another season in Washington. You didn't replicate your Pro Bowl season, so you go to Tampa Bay in 2001, and you make another Pro Bowl. And I'm trying to go off muscle memory here, but you broke records again with your passing yard, 3,406 yards, and you had 316 completions, which are both franchise records. So, and it hits me, you broke records in two different franchises with your first year starting. How was your confidence at that moment?
Yeah, again, I felt confident playing wise, like as far as physically being able to make all the throws, understanding concepts, understanding reading the box, understanding getting the team, getting our play into, getting us into the right play as far as leading a team, being the quarterback, playing, giving your team a chance to win week in and week out. When you move, it's harder than people think. It's not just like you're going to a different team. Like basketball, you can just pick up a basketball and kind of play. Where football, you're having to learn a whole new language, whole new thick playbook, and then just earn the trust of all the coaches, all the players on both sides of the ball. I'd had a lot of games against Tampa with Sapp and Rondé Barber and Brooks and John Lynch. I played against them a bunch against them when I was in Washington and Minnesota, but had great relationships with a lot of those guys too. Warwick Dunn and Dexter Jackson, Derrick Brooks at Florida State. So, and I'd been with Tony Dungy for 3 years when he was a coordinator in Minnesota. So, people and chemistry matter. And as a quarterback, you want to be able to gel into your organization. Knowing the secretaries, knowing the people in the cafeteria, knowing the equipment guys. Like, there's an art to playing quarterback besides just throwing a spiral, and that's the art that people will never understand. When you evaluate quarterbacks, figure out who they are, figure out what kind of leader they are on and off the field, and the good and the bad. So transitional wise, I was in a place I wanted to be, and it's just hopefully give our team, organization, that time the Bucs, a chance to win.
So Super Bowl. So next season, we made the Pro Bowl again in 2001, and so we're gonna go forward to the Super Bowl season. So everything's gelling, but you get injured late in the season. I don't know what's against Pittsburgh or what's against Atlanta, but you had a late season injury. Luckily wasn't nothing bad, but it was a minor injury. I remember you were going off the cart, doing like the rally cry, they'll be okay and everything. I remember that. Right. So, and we were scared for a minute because like, no, we can't have Rob Johnson because you led us here, and now I think you missed a game. I think you missed the Week 17 game against the Chicago Bears when we won 15-0 to clinch the division to go 12-4. But when you was on the sideline, was you worried that you might not play in the playoffs that season?
Well, I actually had 2 injuries that year. About the middle of the season, I cracked my ribs.
Yes,
I was out for 2 weeks there, and then at the very end of the season, I missed the last 2 games of the season. Okay. Pittsburgh and Chicago Bears. So basically, I broke my transverse process, and so you're trying to keep all that quiet at the time of what really took place. And I mean, I couldn't even drive my car, not alone playing the game, But it was really big when we won the last game of the season against Chicago. Okay, we lost a terrible game on Monday Night Football. Didn't look good, didn't play good, but we had to win the last game. So when we won the last game in Chicago, the greatness of what took place that day was the Green Bay Packers lost, I think, to the Jets. Okay, when they lost and we won the division, and we got a bye. So it let me wait one more week during the playoff round, because I don't think I could have played the next week. But then when I came back, I was fresh when we came back against San Fran, Philadelphia, and then the Super Bowl. So it was a big Bears and the Packers getting beat to
So
give us the wild card, to give us a week off.
mm-hmm. To just get a wild card to go right into the divisional round. Luckily, you didn't play Chicago because I watched that game. It was super cold. I mean, you guys didn't even do the Gatorade bath. You guys,
it was cold.
You guys were not even doing a Gatorade bath. I thought, I was like, I hope they don't do John Gruden Gatorade bath in this freezing cold. Y'all get a man sick. Y'all gonna miss time. Don't do it. So luckily, there was no Gatorade bath. So now we know the rivalry between Tampa Bay and Philadelphia. The Eagles have knocked the Buccaneers off the last couple of seasons in the NFC Championship game. What was the motivation in that locker room again for that big game? Because Eagles, that was their last game in Soldier Stadium. And what was you guys' motivation? You guys was the away team, so you guys had the crowd against you. What was this going into? What was the energy like? What was the tension like in that locker room?
Yeah, no doubt. Philadelphia beat us the prior 2 years in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. They'd actually beat us in 2 regular season games.
Yes, I remember.
The last 2 years also. So that year when I played them, that's when I cracked my ribs. We played them October 20th. We got beat, didn't look good, didn't play good, couldn't even get a first down. It was an ugly game. Mm-hmm. So we knew we'd have to come back through Philadelphia. It was in the cold. It was below 15 degrees, whatever it was. But I remember the night before, John Gruden told us, he said, listen, something bad is going to happen early. And when it does, don't panic. And I remember they ran the opening kickoff.
Byron Mitchell almost to the 30 or something. Yep.
Yep. He runs it back. The next play, Deuce Staley, he runs it up the gut for a touchdown. The white towels are flying. Mm-hmm. It's cold. Like, here we go again. It's one of those deals. But talking about what Gruden said, we weren't going to panic. We had great players. Mm-hmm. We had a great understanding of what the blitzes that they were going to bring. They got us early in the year, but we were prepared. We were a better team at that when we came back. And then, honestly, there was a play. It was the Joe Vicious play.
I was just thinking about that. The 7-yard catch and run. Yes.
We were struggling. Yes. We were struggling early in the game. Listen, they were loaded on defense. They were a great team. They went to 4 NFC Championship games. But on that particular play, it's called triple F 83 double smash X option. And basically, it's 2 corners and 2 flats, and then Joe Vicious was going to work over the middle. 3rd and 2, I was getting ready. We called a timeout. I actually was getting ready to audible out of the play. I thought they were going to blitz, and I was checking either to like a little stick route for a little 5-yard gain or a little toss play. And for some reason, I said, just stick with the play, and I'll throw a hot if I have to. And we made a bang-ar call for protection, and then basically called him in the perfect coverage, hit Joe Vicious on a little 4-yard route over the middle. He ran for 73 yards. Mm-hmm. And then we score on the next play with 97 Power King, a play to Michael Allstott. And I'll be honest with you, like at the end of the game, Ronnie Barber intercepted a play and then ran it back for a touchdown. And then that was the play people remember most. But I think the play to Joe Vicious was the most important play of the season. Because without that one, I don't know if we actually win, to be honest with you.
That was the game breaker.
Yeah, it was the game breaker. It just changed the momentum of it. Our defense had their number, and we ended up winning the game. And in the cold, in the vet, shut the vet down, and then go to the Super Bowl. So that was almost our Super Bowl by beating them and what took place. It was a great moment. That's the game I remember the most.
So 2 plays. So I'm going to go back to the 2 plays. First, the Joe Vicious was one that gave got the momentum to proceed forward into the game. But then knowing, and I joke all the time, Ronnie Barber was the last person to score a touchdown in Soldier Stadium, which is crazy, a defensive player that scored and everything. And it was that was our Super Bowl. I feel like if we lost Super Bowl, it wouldn't matter because we beat the Philadelphia Eagles and everything, But fast forward, Super Bowl. Biggest game of your career. And it was so many narratives coming into this game. It was the number 1 offense against the number 1 defense. You had the MVP and Rich Gannon against the Defense Player of the Year and Derrick Brooks. You had John Gruden's old team against his new team. But one thing people don't understand, this is why I didn't want to bring up the rookie season, was you was Rich Gannon's backup in Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. So now you guys come full circle, both started in the Super Bowl. Did you talk to Rich Gannon before the game, or was there something like I had to beat this guy to let him know? Like, was there just some kind of animosity towards,
Right.
rivalry, anything?
Right. No, in 1992 when I was drafted by Minnesota, Rich was the starter, and I learned a lot from him. He was tough, smart, had unbelievable tenacity, loved the game, a fighter, everything you'd want in a quarterback. And then he went to Washington, then he went to Kansas City, then he went to Oakland. And so when we traded for John Gruden as our head coach, the very first phone call I made was to Gruden. I mean, was to Rich Gannon. And he said, Brad, I hate it for me because I love playing for John Gruden. And he said, but I'm happy for you because you're never going to be programmed as a quarterback the way you're getting ready to be programmed. The system of learning offense and defensive football by getting into the right play, you're going to love being with him. And I love playing for Gruden. And it was a really unique story, all the storylines you talk about. So it was kind of cool. Before the Super Bowl that Monday night, 6 days before the game, we actually did a milk mustache commercial together, me and Rich. And so just kind of cool how our stories, we kind of full circle, come back, but all the respect in the world for Rich, and just pretty cool to be in that moment in that game with each other, both of our teams.
So before we go into the Super Bowl, would you agree, or do you think Derrick Brooks had the greatest defensive player of the season, defensive player of the year season of all time? Or what would you rank his defensive player of the year season?
Oh, he was incredible. The whole defense was incredible. I mean,
Right.
obviously we had 3 Hall of Famers with Lynch, Sapp, and himself, and hopefully get 2 more with Rondé Barber and Simeon. But then Dexter Jackson was the MVP of the game. Then Greg Spires over here at left end, and then
Ellis
Shelton Coole's the middle
Williams.
linebacker.
Yeah.
I mean, then Brian Kelly. Like the list goes on. But we were a really, really good team on both sides of the ball. But Derrick Brooks, I mean, he was All-American in high school, All-American at Florida State, and then obviously MVP of the NFL Hall of Fame player, but just a tremendous player and tremendous person.
Yeah. So now going in, it's always been about the defense overshadowing the offense. You guys, the defense was always overshadowing the offense. They even had this thing that you guys scored 10 touchdowns, the defense scored 10 touchdowns. They told John Gruden to score 10 touchdowns this season. But into this game, you was responsible for 21 points of the 48 that we scored. You had 2 touchdowns, and then Mike Allstott did a 1-yard touchdown.
28. Yeah, 28. Yeah.
28. Okay, 28.
Yeah. But whatever it was, listen, it's a team win.
Yes.
It's a team win. I mean, if you want to look at Tampa Bay's with Tom Brady's team 2 years ago, they scored 145 points off for turnovers. They scored 45 off for turnovers in the playoffs. So you look at Troy Aikman's, look at Joe Montana's, look at Steve Young's, look at Brett Favre, Reggie White, Leroy Bud. If you're going to win, you better have a great defense, but you better have a great offense too that doesn't turn the ball over, that can score in critical situations, 2-minute situations, can close games out. And that's what we did. We averaged over, if you look at us halfway through the season, we averaged over 28 points a game. But a lot of times stats are kind of funny. You can twist them however you want to. But I mean, I was the number 1 quarterback in the NFC that year.
92.9 passer rating. I think.
Yeah. So and we just had a team. We scored every time. Once we got in the red zone, we scored field goals, touchdowns, whatever it may be. But a lot of times in the second half, we had leads and we wouldn't get the extra yards. And people go by yards a lot of times with stats. But you look at our receivers with Keenan McCardell, Joe Jurevicius, and Keyshawn Johnson, and Mike Allstott, and Michael Pittman. Like we could beat you in a lot of different ways. And so and Martin Gramatic was a great kicker for us.
Gramatic.
Yeah. So it's a total team win. Offensively, we didn't get a lot of credit just because of the nature of what the defense, the great players that we had. But there are a lot of great players on the offense too.
Was you nervous? Because I know there was a point where Oakland was kind of making it interesting a little bit. Was you like, okay, I got to get my foot off the gas. I got to come back in and go 110 again, or I got to, what's going on? We're falling apart. I think the breaking point was Jerry Porter had that foot in the end zone. He got the touchdown deep in the end zone. They had to keep reviewing it, and then they counted the touchdown. Was it like, okay, was it a little panic or, a little anxiety on the sideline or?
Yeah, we were up 34-3, getting ready to go in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. And then basically they hit Jerry Porter on the post. Then they block a punt. It's 34-16. Then they throw the post to Jerry Rice. Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, it's 34-21 fast for like 7 minutes to go. Like fast. And so we actually had yeah, it was critical. And then we were actually getting ready to score a touchdown. So we were getting ready to kick a field goal. It was 34-15 at one point.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, at that time, we had a play called Weak Right West, 7-2 Shake Right Drive. And I was going to call, it was a corner pass to Joe Jaravicius that I'd thrown in the San Fran game, in the division game. It was covered. I threw the flat to Mike Allstott. He was this far short, half a foot short. We get ready to kick the field goal. We dropped the kick. And so that would put us up 3 scores too. And so we just had a lot of weird things happen. But yeah, the game got close. And so then about two or 3 minutes ago, that's when Derek Brooks intercepted one over the middle, ran it back for a touchdown. Then the game was pretty much over at that point. But it makes you realize the games are never over to the very end. And so we got a little nervous for sure.
How was it, the feeling? Because I remember you guys celebrating on the sideline, and the game wasn't over. It's kind of a couple seconds left, and I remember you had your son. He was a baby at the time, and he kind of looked kind of mean. You kind of gave him a little stink face also. What was that feeling like, knowing that you was a champion and you had your kids witness it? You reached the pinnacle.
Yeah.
How was that? What was that?
Yeah, I don't know if you can see this picture right here. This is the picture right here. So I'm holding my son Max, who's 2 years old, and then my wife Nikki, she's 7.5 months pregnant with the other son Jake, and then that was with John Gruden. We said we're going to Disney World.
Yeah,
doing the commercial with confetti on our face, and with that picture you're talking about, it's really a pretty cool moment. So I had my hat on, and then I kind of made a face at my son, who's just tired from the day. He's 2 years old, and so I took off my hat and I said, "Who loves you, son?" And then he took the back hat off my hat, put it back on my head. And he says, "You do, Dad." It was really pretty cool, and so just a neat moment and very surreal, because all my life I spent. I tell people all the time, Super Bowl Sunday, you're at somebody's party or somebody's house, eating chips and dip and just kind of hanging out watching the game, and it's very surreal because we talked about earlier in this podcast where. I thought I was going to become I want to be a basketball player.
Right.
But in 1987, when I was choosing what sport I wanted to play in college, that was when the great Phil Simms with the New York Giants beat the great John Elway for the Denver Broncos. And he went 22 for 25, and he had confetti falling on his face. And that's when he said he's going to Disney World. And that was about the same time that I made my decision to play football. And so dreams do come true in that moment, one of the best moments of my life.
So really quick, where does the name Check Down Charlie come from? Who originated that nickname for you?
Yeah, we're actually up in Minnesota. A guy named Sean Salisbury is the backup quarterback, and in practice, I mean, honestly, the best guy with the ball in his hands is a running back, right?
Right.
So I was a guy that you have 5 eligible receivers. Usually, with who can go out, tight ends,
right,
running backs, receivers, and so basically, if guys weren't open, I'm gonna find the check down. So, I played with some great players in Minnesota, and obviously in Tampa, it was Morg Dunn and Michael Pittman and those kind of things. So I always tell people, like, coverage dictates where the ball goes. Cover 3, cover 2, quarters, go through your progressions, and you find your outlets to your running back. So it was one of my gifts to be able to find the check down, and I used it. But I'd take the shots when they were there, but I wasn't going to, first guy gets open gets the ball.
So Dallas, you back though. You came in, you was a backup to Tony Romo. How was your relationship with Tony Romo? And after you left Tampa, how was it with Tony Romo?
Yeah, I went to Dallas, and at that time I was 39, 40 years old. Wade Phillips was the head coach. Jason Garrett was the offense coordinator, and then Tony they were implementing a new system, and it was a 3-digit system, which I'd been in Washington. And so I really felt like I had a big impact on Tony at that time. He was young, just kind of beginning, and he was a tremendous playmaker. And so it was fun, even though I was a backup, just the meeting time that we had, on the field time we had. That first year there, we were 13-3, and felt like it was one of the best teams I was ever on. But we got beat in the first round in the playoffs against the New York Giants, who ended up winning the Super Bowl that year against the Patriots. But I enjoyed my time in Dallas, but at that time my career is just about over.
So my Zoom's gonna run out of time in a minute. So how is post retirement now? I mean, I see you on TikTok, you doing the trick shots and everything with the basketball, and I see you throw the football in the hoop and everything. How is this post retirement now? How has it, helped you out there the life in the NFL?
Yeah, again, I've stayed busy coaching a lot of kids, football, basketball, coaching all different kinds of teams, leagues, and levels at whatever level, middle school, high school, all that kind of stuff. So, and then I have a lot of quarterbacks on the side. I've gotten involved with making trick shots on TikTok and those kind of things, and just shared and kind of, and those things I try to be a little bit different instead of making like a one trick wonder kind of thing. Mine's
Hmm.
about making 3, 4, maybe 5 shots in a row.
I see the three
The
balls
other,
in one hoop trick you did.
yeah, that one took some work. I am not gonna lie. So yeah, if you see the sweat on my face, there was a reason why. But I try to do things that like I don't think many people could do that. They might can make one of those shots, but the reason I think they would quit, to be honest with you. And it's just for me to see if I can do it. Like so when you see me celebrate, like it's true jubilation. Like it took some work. You know what I mean? So if anybody can ever do it, I'd be like, try it, man. I'll buy you a steak dinner. I'll fly you up here to the house. If you can do it, I'll fly you here. Let's go. You know?
So okay, well, and your sons, they're in college now. Have you what advice do you give your sons or just anybody who's looking for a career as a quarterback or just an NFL player overall?
I tell you, be great at your craft. Be great at your craft. Practice what happens in games. So when you see me do these TikToks out here, like those are fun trick shots and things. Like growing up, I was all about skills and drills and for the kill. Like be great at what happens in games and make yourself be prepared for moments that are coming. Learn to deal with adversity early in your life. Deal with adversity, embrace it. Be thankful for those moments when you do go through some tough times because better moments are coming. And then just be have fun doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? And I think having a passion about it, that's the greatness of it all.
Everybody, thank you. I want to give a thank you to Mr. Brad Johnson, who 30 minutes of his time. I know he's a very busy man. Follow him on Twitter at Brad_Johnson_14. That's it, right?
You got it.
Yes, sir. And I will have his link in the description. Again, guys, thank you. Mr. Johnson, thank you so much for spending time here. And I would love to invite you back on, talk to you again.
Yep, that'd be great, Jerome. Appreciate you having me out, buddy. Thank you for asking.
Thank you, sir.
All right.